with your host Chris Townsend. News of us rescuing Hope the pig last year had such a warming effect on our hearts. Here's the latest from Juliette. I'm here with Juliette in the podcast room at Viva HQ. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Now, we've just got back from the Swansea Viva Vegan Festival,
Yes.
didn't we? Which was really, really good. I met loads of people there. We've got lots of new members as a result. I wanted to bring you in the studio, and you wanted to come in as well.
Yeah.
Because we've got some fantastic news. Now, for the listeners, I mean, you know what it's like being vegan. Sometimes it's an up and down struggle sometimes. It's an emotional roller coaster on occasion. But one of the wonderful things about working at Viva and being vegan and being aware of what we do at Viva is every now and again we get to save an animal, don't we? Actually we get to get involved.
Yeah.
And Hope and Dotty
Yes.
are someone that most of our followers will obviously know about. Now
Yeah.
you've got some news with regards to this that's really worthwhile sharing, yeah?
Yeah. I think just to remind everybody, I went to meet Mary and Jeanette, who founded Dean Farm Animal Sanctuary, which is a beautiful place which is near Chepstow. And I went to them when we were filming in pig farms and said to them, look, we really need to rescue a sow and her babies. From a personal perspective, I just need to do something that's really positive and have that connection with pigs in a place that is not some dirty hellhole. From the much bigger perspective, they can be icons for the movement, if you like, in terms of doing these compare and contrasts, and lots of people will engage with that. We didn't know at that point that we were going to rescue Hope, of course, but Mary and Jeanette responded immediately. I can remember being there on a Tuesday evening, and we literally started to look almost immediately for pigs in situations that we could rescue legally. And there was this farm that was closing down, and she was literally one of the last sows that he had with 6 3-week-old piglets. And Mary arranged, so myself, Justin, and Mary went across, and we rescued Hope and her 6 piglets. And then we found out that there was 1 sow left in that farm. And we thought, oh my God, we cannot leave this animal. And in fact, Viva supporters were really generous. They made donations towards her upkeep and towards the rescue. And we went back and we rescued Dotty. We didn't know when we rescued her that she was actually pregnant. And so she gave birth at Dean Farm Animal Sanctuary to her piglets. So we had 2 families of, the traditional, if you like, meat-bred pigs, so very large animals, with their babies. So this was Hope's 5th pregnancy. So she'd always had her babies taken away. And oh my God, that's the other thing. It's the education, because how many of us have the privilege to know what pigs and pig families are like? Because of course we don't. And for me, it was an education too. And so obviously we promoted that Hope and her family and Dotty and her family would be in Dean Farm forever. It was their new forever home, because that's what we believed was going to be the case. But again, things are all changed. It was very emotional last week because Mary was very emotional. I was very emotional because as I said, it was a real privilege to me. I was going to see Hope and her babies literally every week throughout 2017, and I got very close, and more often sometimes. I'd go down to the sanctuary on a summer's evening. Nobody'd know I was there, and I'd just literally sit with the pigs and give them belly rubs and just get to know them. And I bonded with, especially Lily Bubbles and Jack Wigginson and Tom Rocket. We just got to know each other really well. And what really became very apparent was that as they grew up and got older, they were still an incredibly close family unit. All of them interacting with each other and just watching their behaviour with each other was just completely fascinating for me. Anyway, what we didn't know was going to happen is that the sanctuary is relatively near the Forest of Dean, and in the Forest of Dean are wild boar, and the wild boar have moved several miles through to Chepstow, and one managed to scale the fencing and basically get Poppy Pig pregnant. And they didn't know she was pregnant. She gave birth a few weeks ago. About a month prematurely, because the vet came and obviously said, and only 1 baby survived. So her other piglets died, sadly. But this little 1 baby, so she's half Poppy Pig and half this wild boar from the Forest of Dean. And so she's called Dina after the Forest of Dean, her dad. And she's got the stripes of a wild boar, and she's got the dots of Dotty, because not Dotty, of Poppy Pig. She's got the big black dots of being part Gloucester Old Spot. And She's absolutely beautiful. But Mary and Jeanette were really worried because clearly this wild boar or wild boars were staying around because their sanctuary backs onto woodland. And they knew that there were some very attractive female pigs, because these female pigs, by the way, when they come into heat, they do not stay quiet.
No, they make a big noise, don't they? It can be heard for miles.
Exactly, they call for their, for their wild boar, for their man.
This is like the EastEnders equivalent. So sort of like sort of vegans, animal sanctuaries. Who's the father? Dum, 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 dum. Oh, him. All right. Okay.
And so it wasn't, the problem, if you like, wasn't going to go away. And the worry was not just about the pregnancies, because when the Hope's little 6 piglets were very little, the 3 males were castrated. And obviously it was never foreseen that there was going to be wild boar who were going to get the females pregnant. So it was just thought there wouldn't be any pregnancies. So it's too late to, operate on the girls. And then you're into this whole thing of, can you give them contraception? And it's a bit of an unknown area because the vast majority of people know nothing. Is it right to put them on the contraception and all the rest of it? Because there's quite a lot of side effects to it. And so the other major worry, though, was that the wild boar would hurt the males, Jack Wigginson, Tom Rocket, Lucas Scamp, for obvious reasons. And that was...
Say for obvious reasons again.
For obvious reasons. So that was the real concern, that we just could not risk the boys being hurt. And so after much sort of soul searching, it was decided that the Hope and her family and Dotty and her family would have to move sanctuaries. So the search went on to find the most suitable place, well-respected, well-established place, who had a lot of experience with pigs, so they knew what they were doing. And Mary chose Fiona Oakes, Sanctuary Fiona Oakes, the marathon runner, who's very well known in our movement, of course. And she's got a sanctuary course called Tower Hills, which is in Essex. And Fiona very kindly has agreed to take both their families. So last Thursday, I was there with Laura from Viva, and we were helping persuade, shall we say, Dotty and her family, who did load the trailer pretty easily, actually. It was surprisingly quick. But Hope and her family, now, that took a little bit more persuasion. So I managed to persuade 2 to go up with cake and just talking gently. But Hope was not going up, and it was really difficult. And in the end, in fact, Laura picked up Dina, the little piglet, so the baby. And oh my goodness, that is just an indication of the closeness of these families, because Hope and 2 of the boys and 1 of the girls, they just went completely ballistic when Laura picked up Dina. And Laura was like, oh my God, have I done the right thing? And she was already sort of halfway up the ramp, thank goodness, and just took another step and just let Dina go, because they just all went ballistic and went, because they knew us. I think she would have been in trouble if they hadn't have known us, but because they've known us for so long, and the babies have known us since they've, arrived at Dean Farm, they trusted us. But they were really telling her, don't you dare pick up Dina. They were so protective. It was so... Oh, and that's the other thing I want to tell you. My God, Hope loves being a grandma. Oh, it is so sweet. She's so protective of Poppy Pig, her daughter. But they have like arcs in the fields in the sanctuary. And you just repeatedly get Hope building the nests with Poppy Pig, dragging the twigs in and the leaves to make the nest for her and Dina. And Hope would lie down and she would try and suckle Dina herself. And the 3 of them, grandma, daughter and grand piglet, however you would, were together so much of the time. And yet again, it really brought home to me every time you go in a factory farm and you see what they do to these mother pigs and repeatedly steal their babies. The thing is,
the only way is Essex.
Imagine the different characters. Hope would give them something to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, bless. But yeah, Mary and Jeanette and everybody at Dean Farm, I just want to, absolute respect for that sanctuary. It is a beautiful place, and they could not have been more loved. And they've made the decisions for all the right reasons, so that the wild boar are safe, there's no issues there, and so that the Hope and Dotty and their families are safe. And that's the first thing. It's the animals' welfare that's absolutely paramount. And yes, from a selfish point of view, I'm upset because obviously they were on my doorstep and they're my friends. But I'm going to see them at Tower Hill this Thursday, actually. I'm going to see them settled in. I want to see that for myself.
Great.
And, obviously I could not go and see them. So, obviously
that's going to be all over social media, and it'll be on our
yeah,
Facebook and
yeah,
everything. So,
yeah.
so
And their story will
continue.
continue, Yeah, they're safe.
And that was Juliette talking about beautiful Hope the pig. Well, that's it for another episode. It's been wonderful being able to catch up with you, being able to catch up with the team at Viva, to be able to share and spread the vegan way of kindness and compassion. My name's Chris Townsend, and you've been listening to the Viva